Good evening to those bored enough to watch. Plants vs Zombies is a game that has a very prominent part in both my own and many others' upbringing. However, after the release of the first game, I don't really recall sticking with this series like many others did. I personally played the second game when that first released, but don't remember much about my experience with it other than the fact that I felt lukewarm towards it and my youthful brain preferred the first game more. This video isn't about the second game. I don't remember enough to really warrant talking about it, and instead I want to focus on Plants vs Zombies 3, a game I've been playing quite a bit of myself and felt that it missed the mark in a lot of areas that I wanted to discuss in this video, comparing it to the first game that it tries so hard to recapture the magic of and explain why, in my opinion, it misses the mark. So, with that said, let's discuss Plants vs Zombies 3. The first thing I want to talk about is the general structure of the first game, which was divided into 6 locations in which each of them are split between day and night versions. This allows the differing plants in the game to shine in their own specialized environments, which ultimately culminated into New Game Plus, which presented the additional challenge of automatically selecting 3 random plants while still letting you choose some of your own. This, in my opinion, is a very well made structure, as each location is split into 10 levels, each of which have their own unique mini-games allocated halfway, keeping things interesting and generally being a well-paced game. The reason I bring this up is because Plants vs Zombies 3 completely goes against this with its inconsistent structure, levels being either too fast or too slow. There are so many occasions where I'd spawn into a level and before I even finished setting up my defenses, it was already over. On the contrary, some stages took too long to get to the climax, which eventually culminated into me just being bored while waiting for the final wave. Speaking of the levels, they bring me to the gameplay loop within this game, and how once again that takes a big downgrade in terms of such a thing. For example, the first game allowed you to select the plants that you wanted to use prior to the level beginning, which as the game progressed there would be a bigger cast to choose from. This meant that there was already a lot of replayability due to the immense amounts of experimentation in which you could choose from. It also added a lot of variety and choice in how the player wanted to proceed, as every player would have a different approach to the gameplay. Plants vs Zombies 3 completely goes against this by automatically selecting a designated cast of plants for a level, instantly taking away any variety and decision in how I would have wanted to approach the game. Furthermore, the levels themselves are instead equipped with gimmicks to add variety, but in my opinion, I think that it falls flat due to me not being able to choose what plants I would have wanted to use, as well as the fact that they either last too long or they're too short, oftentimes leaning towards the latter. The game also, in my opinion, takes way too many levels introducing the mechanics to the player, as opposed to the first game which seamlessly taught the core mechanics through the gameplay, with the almanac always being present for those who may need a reminder. And the game has to give me a tutorial on how to use the lily pad. That's a problem for me, because it's something that is self-explanatory and should not have to be taught this far into the game, not to mention that this game does this with the squash of all things. The story and overall progression of the game felt slow and uninteresting during the time I spent with the game too. Never in my life have I played a game so hell-bent on wasting my time like this one. Most of the days that this game is split up into is spent customizing the overworld, which the game feels is an excuse to include a massive influx of levels. I want to suggest that this game have an adventure mode that has unique locations that is also well and consistently paced like the first game, not wasting my time but not leaving me wanting more either, striking that perfect balance while still leaving plenty of side content if I ever wanted to engage with it. A lot of the overworld activities feels much akin to the Zen Garden, except the first game doesn't force you to engage with it, whereas this game makes you play through all of this unnecessary customization, clearly here for the sole purpose of wasting time and not much else. I could spend all day bashing this game, but these are the issues I felt were the most prominent during my playthrough. Plants vs Zombies 3 is a game that misses the mark, and if there is anything I took away from my experience with this game, it only made me appreciate the first one more. That game knew when to stop wasting my time. That game also had a clear direction and pace as well as consistency in its stages, while having a gameplay loop that was rich in variety and options for how the player wanted to approach the game. I apologize if this video came off as me just complaining while showering the first game in praise, and I do think that there is a lot in that game that Plants vs Zombies 3 tries to replicate but falls flat entirely. With that though, I hope that this video was helpful for anyone looking to play this game. Whether this video discourages you from touching it or just filled you with more curiosity to play it is entirely up to you. In my opinion, however, Plants vs Zombies 3 is a game that completely misses the mark. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I've been thinking about this video for quite some time now, so it feels nice to be able to bring it to fruition. If you want to view the list of games I want to make videos about in the future, then you can always do so through the link in the description. Additionally, if you want to follow me, then my socials will be linked in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say, so I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.